Hello, beautiful Limeys. It's Dr. Christine Arseneau, PharmD, Functional Medicine Certified Health Coach. Today's topic for my live is forgiveness. And this is a tough topic for a lot of people. And forgiveness is definitely not easy. It's definitely a process. It doesn't happen quickly. There can be ups and downs, and it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And so I wanted to start off with a quote by Buddha that says, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And there's a lot of power in that quote. It's when you are holding on to resentment or anger, maybe you've been betrayed, whatever it is for you, when you hold on to that, that's not affecting the other person. It's only affecting you. It's affecting your body, your cells, your biology, and your mindset. So forgiveness really is not about the other person. It's actually about you. And I think this is the big misconception, is that forgiveness is saying what the other person did is okay. And that's not the case. And there's trauma in this world. There's neglect. There's abuse. There are things that are not okay. And forgiving isn't saying that those things are okay. Forgiving is just taking care of yourself, letting go of that resentment so that you aren't continuing to do harm to yourself. And it's all about your internal state, and it has nothing to do with the other person. The other person doesn't need to even know about it. The other person doesn't need to be in your life. You can have whatever boundaries you have. Forgiving doesn't mean that everything is okay and that person can be in your life however they want. You can set healthy boundaries and still forgive. And in fact, the first important thing is safety. So you don't have to forgive if you are in an abusive relationship and the abuse is continuing. Your safety is the first most important thing. So setting your boundaries, getting out of that relationship, giving yourself space, doing what you need to do before you forgive is important. You don't have to forgive everybody, and you don't have to forgive right away. It's a process. So forgiveness is definitely a process. And if you do forgive when you continue to be in a cycle where somebody isn't treating you how they should be and is doing damage to you, then that's actually affecting your self-respect, and that's going to have you feel used, and that's going to really kind of enable the other person to continue. So forgiveness isn't right in every situation, but if you put your safety first and you give space to that, then it's easier to forgive. Then you can be in a situation where you can forgive and you can have boundaries, and that other person doesn't need to be in your life. And for me, putting that space in is important. I make it less personal. So that person did something to me, but it's not about me. And I can feel that pain and I can acknowledge that pain that it caused, but it's really a little bit easier for me to forgive if I put some space in between that and I realize, okay, these actions that this person did, it did cause pain, and I can acknowledge that, and I can acknowledge all the things that I feel, but this person did this because of their own issues, their own demons, whatever they have going on in their life. And if it's even possible to hold that person in the light, maybe lift them up, maybe have some good feelings, some good thoughts, so that they can have some help and support to get out of whatever they're going through. That might be a stretch. That might not be something that you can do right away in your path for forgiveness, but at some point you may be able to give some love and light to others who have harmed you in order to maybe prevent that from happening again. Just being gentle with their situation, realizing that they have things that are contributing to their actions and that it's really their issue, it's not yours. So taking that responsibility away from you, putting some space in, can make forgiveness a little bit easier. And so you always want to have safety first before you forgive. And you want to consider the value of the relationship. That can sometimes make forgiveness easier. If it's a really valuable relationship and this was something that is not a pattern and maybe it was a misunderstanding, if you can put yourself in the other person's shoes and see their perspective and think about the whole value of your relationship. And especially if it's a relationship where there's compassion and care, getting to that point of forgiveness is something powerful that you can do for yourself. And Marilyn Monroe said, "I don't forgive people because I'm weak. I forgive them because I'm strong enough to know people make mistakes." So again, it's all about you. When I forgive somebody, I don't even tell them. A lot of times they might not even be in my life. I might not have any desire to ever talk to them again. And it's not about them and if they know if I forgave them. It's not about saying that their actions were okay. It's not about getting an apology from them. It's quite selfishly about myself and realizing that if I don't let go of that resentment, or maybe it's anger, anxiety, depression, jealousy, there's feelings that come up when we hold on to things, and those feelings are hurting myself. And so when I forgive, it's to let go so that I can get to a better place and that I can not be held back by the other person's actions. Me continuing to be mad, continuing to be upset, continuing to be resentful, that's not doing anything to punish that other person. It's really just continuing to be my own prisoner of that situation. So we can have a harmful situation happen to us. It could be something, really abusive, really, really hard to accept. But once that event passes, if we continue to think about it, then we continue to have that event affect us. And it's like we're keeping ourselves in jail. We're thinking about it over and over and over again. And in fact, there's one more quote I want to share, which I thought was really powerful, from Nelson Mandela. And when he was being asked about how he would forgive the people that jailed him, and he said, as he was walking out of that jail, "I knew if I continued to hate these people, I was still in prison." And that's really powerful. So you can become defined by that event and continue to think about it over and over and have your thought patterns revolve around this, which is basically allowing those people to still hurt you, to still have control over you, to still jail you, if you will, into these feelings. And if you're able to let that go, that's really, really powerful for yourself. And it can be powerful for the other person if you are able to give them some love and light. If it is something that you do want to share with them, that is an option. It just depends on your situation, and it doesn't always have to be the case. And my recommendation to you to practice forgiveness is to perhaps start with something easy. Start with somebody who's a really good friend who did something that's not that significant that you can let go pretty easily, and just practice it and see how it feels. You don't have to rush right to this big incident that has really had an impact on your life. You don't have to rush right to that to forgive. You can practice in smaller steps and work up to that. It's whatever is best for you. And so one exercise that I have is for you to just identify how these grudges that you have are torturing you emotionally. What emotions are they bringing up? And just write down 3 ways that these disruptive emotions affect your behavior. And just notice how they make you feel inside. Where do you feel it in your body? And what kind of behaviors do you have as a result of these negative feelings from this resentment, this anger that you're holding on to? And just practice letting it go, however that looks for you. Maybe sit there and meditate on the feelings and feel them completely in order to release them. Maybe burn the paper where you wrote down these emotions that your resentment is bringing up, and just let it go and just feel free. And if you find yourself to a place where you are able to forgive, you may feel freer, you may feel weightless, you may feel more resilient. And it's a really powerful thing for yourself and for nobody else, for whoever else you feel like sharing it with, but it's really a gift that you give yourself. And that's really what I want you to walk away from here with. Forgiveness is also a way of healing your deep wounds. If you haven't forgiven somebody for a long time and you have really deep wounds around that, forgiveness is a way that you can slowly start to heal those. And if you can heal those deep inner wounds and the wounds from childhood and the wounds from different parts of your past and the really big wounds, and if you're able to heal that a little bit and to let some of that go, that can make profound changes in your healing in general. You'll have more space for love and light and goodness, and be able to get to a place of healing more than if you are just bottled up with resentment and anger. And the last thing I want to talk about is forgiving yourself. That's one that you might forget about. There might be people that have done things to you that you know you need to forgive. But what about yourself? All the times that you've disappointed yourself, all the decisions that you've made that maybe didn't turn out that great. If you can forgive yourself, that is a really powerful thing too. Most people are even more judgmental about themselves than anybody else. And if you can forgive yourself, that can be a really, really powerful tool in your healing as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And I would love to hear any comments that you have on forgiveness. I know it's really hard. So maybe if there's a way that you have found that you can do it, any insight that you have that might help the group, I would love to hear your thoughts on forgiveness. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.